The removal of the old was prophesied over and over by the prophets, and the first one to mention it was Moses himself. They forced Christ to touch the cup, and now the cup of wrath had to be dealt with. That's why we have the harlot riding the beast, and in her hand the cup, the golden cup with all the blood of the martyrs. God's chosen people now become the harlot riding the beast. And Hebrews 10 verse 9 reveals that it was actually God's will that they should now be removed. Revelation deals with this removal in the form of seals, trumpets, and vials, and these trumpets were upon the city itself. The kingdom came when Jesus resurrected, but 70 AD, the old had to be removed for the kingdom to function. This removal was in the form of 7 trumpets that came upon the city. The trumpets started after the sealing of God's people, which pointed to the time of Acts 7 when Stephen was stoned and the persecution started with Paul. Revelation 8 verse 1 to 5. And when he had opened the 7th seal, there was silence in heaven about the space of an hour. And I saw 7 angels which stood before God, and to them were given 7 trumpets. And another angel came and stood at the altar, having a golden censer, and there was given him much incense. This means that the wrath of God was about to be poured out. And Revelation 16:19 says, the great city was divided in 3 parts. And Josephus describes these 3 men, Simon, John of Cascala, and Eleazar. These 3 men wanted authority for themselves, so they turned the whole city into 3 factions. And when Rome attacked, they stood together. But when Rome subsided, they fought each other. And everyone that didn't take part in the fightings inward, they killed them. Jerusalem was not the place to be. And Jesus warned his disciples and said, when you see these things coming, flee. Those that fled in time, they were the daughter of Zion that birthed the church. The trumpets took on the same pattern as the seals and was broken up in parts of 4 and 3. 4 meaning earthy, 3 is godly, and 7 is implicating that God is busy working. So first we have the 4 trumpets, and every time one of these trumpets blew, a third of something was destroyed. And then came the 3 trumpets, which is called woes. The book of Revelation is a spiritual vision, and the spirit language is numbers, colors, symbols, and patterns. The first trumpet announcement was hail mingled with fire, and a third of the grass and the trees was burnt, meaning everything alive, a third of them was damaged. They were hurting each other in the city. The second trumpet was a mountain of fire that fell into the sea. The sea has to do with the nation that was involved with this. And a mountain means a great one. The third trumpet, a star, fell on the rivers and the fountains. Israel was supposed to be the stars of heaven. Now they became the sand of the sea. After the 4 trumpets, then the woes came. 3 trumpets of woes. But this was, Isaiah 3:9 says, their sin will be like the sin of Sodom. And he said, woe unto their souls, for they have rewarded it unto themselves. 5:20, woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, darkness for light and light for darkness. Isaiah 5:21, woe unto them that are wise in their own eyes. Isaiah 29:1, woe unto Ariel, meaning Jerusalem, the city where David dwells. Then comes Matthew 23, where Jesus himself says to who these woes will be. Woe unto you, scribes, Pharisees, hypocrites, for you compass the sea and land to make one proselyte, and when he's made, you make him a 2-fold more child of hell than yourself. 66 AD, there was a full-scale revolt against Rome and the persecution on the Jews. Titus was sent down to besiege Jerusalem and take it in, and the woes came upon the city and the temple. The first woe was the 5th trumpet, The star with the key was a bottomless pit. Locusts tormented the city for 5 months. The last battle was literally 5 months, from March to August, and then the city was sacked. Second woe, or the sixth trumpet, they loosed the 4 angels of the Euphrates, and a third of men were killed. And today we know everything is about the Euphrates drying up. But we have all the rivers drying up, not just the Euphrates. And you can't just interpret the Euphrates in Revelation and change times and seasons. You have to start with the Euphrates from Genesis, and then you have to go right through in Babylon. The night Babylon was destroyed, they touched the cup. The writing was on the wall. Cyrus dried the Euphrates and took in Babylon. Babylon never burned. But here in Revelation, he says Babylon burned. Now we're talking about mystical Babylon. So these patterns of Babylon is now applied to mystical Babylon. The Euphrates drying up here means their destruction is now here. This is not our time, and you cannot use these prophecies for our time. You cannot change times and seasons. In Babylon was conquered 539 BC. Revelation was written 64 AD, and Jerusalem was burned down 70 AD. And Revelation 18 says, "And when I saw the smoke of her burning, saying, what is a city like this great city?" The trumpets blowing was literally turning points to the total destruction of Jerusalem. Here we also find a 7-week period that started in 66 AD when the revolt started, 70 AD when Jerusalem was burned down, and the people that fled to Masada committed suicide 73 AD after a 3.5-year siege of the Romans. After the seals, there was a period of silence, and we read this in Revelation 8:1. "And when I had opened the 7th seal, there was silence in heaven for a space of half an hour. And I saw 7 angels that stood before God, and to them were given 7 trumpets." There was a space before the trumpet started blowing. When the 7th trumpet sounded, the city was no more. Revelation 10:7, "But in the days of the voice of the 7th angel, when he shall begin to sound, the mystery of God should be finished, as he had declared to his servants, the prophets." Abram went looking for a city, and now has come for the city set on a hill. Finally, the spiritual city. We cannot hold on to natural Jerusalem. Galatians tells us that natural Jerusalem is like Hagar, but the heavenly Jerusalem is the mother of all. Revelation 11:15, "And the 7th angel sounded, and there was great voices in heaven saying, The kingdoms of the world are become the kingdoms of our Lord and of his Christ, and he shall reign forever and ever." Ephesians 3:21, "Glory be to God in the church, a world without end." The Bible does not deal with our end. He deals with the end of the law world.